Hello. I hope everybody out there is good. Thanks for um, joining in. Sorry, I'm a little late. It's like my MO a little bit late, but had family in for Sunday dinner, and you know how that goes. So get out the door. Um, so tonight I'm having a Long Island iced tea. It's been a long weekend, and um, yeah. So tonight I wanted to discuss Karen's article, which was, I thought, a very um, good article, but I might be a little biased. So everybody has been talking about the what happened in Shelby regarding the Title IX and uh, people using the restroom, different genders using the other gender's restroom. Um, Personally, I don't agree with it. I just I don't think it makes our girls feel comfortable. I have three daughters myself, and they have experienced this, and they told me it makes them not want to use the restroom at school, which makes them, you know, hold, and we all know what happens there medically, so that's not a positive thing. Um, so I'm not a negative Nancy type person. I don't think Karen is either, even though she is a Karen. She's one of the best Karens that you could possibly have in your corner because she will fight for you. Um, and I just personally don't like the negativity. You get more, like my husband always tells me, you get more bees with honey, you know. So there's people are discussing this. Me and Karen have been debating back and forth, and we noticed that, we read the Dodds versus U.S. Department of Education case, and it's only about 9 pages. But what me and Karen kind of noticed in it was the case in itself. 3 out of the 4 exhibits were denied, um, which means the litigation needs to continue. So you only have one exhibit in the whole case. Um, and the Ohio School Board Association was supposed to divorce itself from the U.S. Department of Education after the whole Merrick Garland incident that we all have, I guarantee we all have heard about at least. And I was one of those schools that had Panorama. So that was really scary for me. We ended up getting rid of it because we spoke out against it at a bunch of board meetings saying, it's not appropriate to have Panorama. It was just giving our kids ESG score and seeing where they fall in regards to SEL, which is social emotional learning. Um, so, but let's not forget what the National School Board Association said, which is they called us terrorists and because we're outspoken and we want to be part of our kids' education. That's something that I push forward with anyone. You are the best advocate for your kid. Um, no one else knows your kid the way you do. And I have a daughter who's just she's hilarious. But every year I have the meeting where they tell me, she can't read, she's doing this, she's doing that. And I say, no, no, no. It's first quarter. This is Lillian getting back into the groove of things. She'll get there, and she does, and she ends up tripling and doubling your scores. But those math tests, I personally, not to get off topic real quick, but that's just something I do sometimes. It's kind of relevant though. Those math testing scores, my daughter, who is an avid reader, she's the best reader out of all of my children. I mean, she reads the Breaking Dawn books this thick, and the state of Ohio has scored her below performance in reading and comprehension. But I think that's skewed because reading comprehension, I don't think reading should be a punishment. I think you should enjoy what you read, and I think that's part of the problem is what they're reading isn't fulfilling them in any way. But back on to the Ohio School Board Association. Um, the Dodds case is undecided. There was no ruling in the Dodds case. The end of the Dodds case was there's not enough evidence here to make a decision. So when superintendents reference that, it's just like the Bostock, which was under Title VII. Here, Karen gave me this. I gotta get my. I'm old. You officially know when you're old when you have to like put your readers on to read something. So Karen said in her article, she pointed to Bostock, which everyone was hanging their hat on, a Title VII statute being applied to all other titles according to the Title VII ruling, because Dodds was a dud. And Bostock applies to not Section 1557 of the Affordable Care Act or Title IX or any non-Title VII statute, which means like they don't cross over. I mean, all of the titles they do relatively kind of merge in together certain aspects of it, but it's convoluted to say the least. But this brought me and Karen up to like I think one of the most one of the most important arguments, but we're going to get to that at the end, because I do want to point out what everybody's murmuring about, and I noticed, bleeding back to my original point, I noticed a lot of negativity. Others are cheering the Ohio School Board Association, and taking pictures at the OSBA Capitol Conference, wanting to shame people about not speaking to public education issues accurately, or spending the majority of our time on Netflix, binging and it's showing. I don't think motivating people with shame in a negative light works. Like my mother always says, like you have to kind of be like a little tactful about shame and the way that you use it, and make sure that you use it appropriately. That's not my tactic. That's just kind of mean if you ask me. To make an assumption about what people know about public education. Personally, I've been researching public education for the last 3 years, and it's confusing, it's convoluted, but we've been trying to make it efficient for people to actually understand. And the biggest thing is the language, which I like that. That's all I'm saying. Anyways, so we've been watching on Netflix. The same people that say that those kind of things are the ones that are leading people, misleading people, disregarding parents' authority, and they're giving people bad advice. Because if you would have read it in the begin with, you'd be like, why are we even talking about this? It's not even rolled upon. That's not even relevant. You need to fight back at your local level, because ultimately we do have local control. People need to you can be professional and not aggressive and come at them in an appropriate way with their policies, with their procedures, and not be scared to like they're going to come at your kids. They will when you're aggressive. I'm a little aggressive, but I've also have a long history of them telling me something is legal where I know it's not, and proven so. And I don't think I'm this is like the best example. Like I'm not your enemy. We're not your enemies, but you don't know my kid any better than the person who has raised them there since God gave them to me. But negativity in this, I don't think is a positive thing, and that's my point as well. But the misleading information, because the Ohio School Board just had a ruling, I believe, that they refused to put language in that supported parental rights. And, all of us parents get this. Like, I'll be sitting in a meeting and they'll be like, well, some parents don't do that. And, these kids have some kids have that situation at home. I'm like, well, that's when you approach social services, because that's not what you do here. And no offense, I don't think any parent would appreciate a public institution telling them that, you're just lazy. You're just lazy. You're either stupid or you're lazy, or you just don't do it. And we're gonna just take it upon ourselves to raise your children. Karen, the National Educators Association would like you to believe they know your kids better. They would, right, Karen? Like, absolutely not. Absolutely not. It's really sad. It's like in local practice. I'm like, when I hear that term, I immediately get triggered, because that was not the first time that was used with me. That's used quite often, and I immediately stop it. Like, no, absolutely not, absolutely not. That is not what that means. And people, it's really all about reading your policies and approaching them in a professional manner, just like you would at work with HR or something, or with working on a project in a group. Like, there's ways to go about it that they have to conform a little bit, and this is one of them. And the biggest thing, and that Karen has pointed out too, is social emotional learning is not a standard. It's not a thing. Like, we don't have to do it. So why is your board of education doing it? And they can't get kids to read and write. I think our school rate, and don't quote me right now, but last time I looked, it was like 60 some odd percent of kids could read at grade level and write at grade level, and not write mathematics, read, and so funny. It's hitting me. Reading and math can't pass reading and math at their grade level, and our urban areas are even worse. And I feel like these kids are going to school, and it's more about feelings than it is anything, and that's never appropriate. Um, but moving on. So what we want to focus on is, who is your Ohio School Board Association delegate. Each member of the Board of Education shall be entitled to appoint one of its members as a delegate to the annual business meeting or other called meetings with a power to vote. These appointees comprise the body known as the Ohio School Board Association Delegate Assembly and must be present to vote. Who is your members and how are they voting at this level? And I'm going to be quite honest with you, Karen wrote that, because I didn't even know this until this evening, that we had a delegate in each district. So it's quite interesting, and I'm going to get to know mine very well, just like I'm going to get to know my educational service center very well as well, and see what that's all about. This is leading to the bigger picture, and the bigger picture for me, with all of this, and they're trying to make it confusing on purpose, is how is these agencies reinterpreting, i.e. redefining, because reinterpreting is redefining, standing, hold on, I have this right in front of me and I want to quote it because I love the way that she said it. I'm going to quote Karen here. Ohioans, how does the Ohio Department of Education, Superintendent of Public Instruction, local school board, and local district superintendents have the legal authority to redefine or reinterpret Title IX as it applies to the education program or activities receiving federal financial assistance? And that has been my biggest question. Regardless of all of this other nonsense in between, Title IX wasn't amended through Congress. We have three branches of government, right? We have the legislators, the executive, and the judicial. Well, the legislators, as we all know, write the laws, or they come up with new laws and pass whatever. Anyways, this is my third, so I'm a little. Anyways, so Congress never reinterpreted Title IX to begin with. The Biden administration came up with this policy to redefine the terms of already standing law. And that is exactly what people mean when they're talking about bureaucrats unelected bureaucrats running our institutions and our government, because that's exactly what it is. It's and no offense, it's the executive branch usurping its power and abusing its power. It's honestly abuse. And my question is too, and me and Karen approached a couple of politicians about this. Where's the checks and balances? What is Congress doing to make sure that your executive branch can't abuse this power? Because that's what they're doing. What did you say, Karen? She said that's right. They were trying to export a ruling on the Title VII forwarded to Title IX. Yeah, you can't do that. I mean, that didn't even go through Congress. It's shocking. But what they said at the beginning of, all this mid-COVID and everybody getting upset is it's about, what is it about, Karen? It's about compliance. They want everybody to comply. They're going to tell you it's the law. They're going to lie right to your face. And then they're going to say, well, you let us do it. But it's not the end all be all, because I'm not that person either, like doomsday. Like it's not, we can get control of this real quick. And don't forget, our school boards are up this fall, and that's what we're heading towards and want to keep momentum towards, because our kids desperately need it. And I think we're all feeling that, especially going into this winter, that our kids are sometimes really feeling all of this nonsense in schools, especially now, and especially parents as well that are outspoken, like myself. Like we feel pressure, but that's when we get to work. I thrive in chaos a little bit, so it's funny what they tell you and what they are big enough to get away with. Exactly, they'll tell you. I mean, they'll tell you anything. It takes you and like five. If you have like three other parents, they'll start getting scared. They start backing off. Because really they know we still have power. And I say that with all sincerity. We still, keyword still, have power, because there's things coming down the line that to be continued on that one. It's just so crazy. So crazy. So yeah, so if you I really think we all just need to come together for our kids and really start looking at this stuff, because if you were looking at it and you were reading it and you were researching it, and I'm not shaming, I mean, I get it, we're all busy, we all have stuff going on and schedules, and it's insane, but I have not seen a lot of movement in the last 2 years with the grassroots movement, with education. I mean, if I have to even say, they're even more emboldened lately to just basically disregard you as the parent. And this should be a partnership. And where's my other question? And I know it's a little off topic, but where's our PTO? I mean, that was a thing. My mom was like the president of the PTO. She went to the state PTO. That was to have a relationship with our teachers. And right now, we think there's only, and don't quote me, but there's only one organization that trains our board members, and they all hate us. I mean, they all hate us. From 80% of them, from what the board members say, and yeah, so that's a problem as well. We need to have and start facilitating, maybe within PTO. Might be a good idea. I'm not going to tell you that I know the path forward here. We don't know the path to completely correct it, but we do know this is where we need to go talk to your superintendent. You need to go talk to your school board members and let them know this never even went through Congress. This was just something that was written up by the Biden administration, given to the U.S. Department of Education, and said, go enforce this. No, 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 no. But they know it's going to take years to litigate, right, Karen? Like years to litigate. So they don't want, they're just, you'll comply. They're gonna pressure you. They're gonna, have a police officer sitting in a meeting every time we go to a meeting with them as a form of intimidation. They're gonna, they're gonna do a lot. But you know what you do? You just stay true to your convictions, stay true to like what you're doing and what you're trying to accomplish here. And I'm telling you, we'll get this. But the pressure's at the local level because we still have local level control. And that's the most important. And that's what we need to remember here. But Karen, go to Main Street Patriots, Ohio, um, and read Biden Arm Twisting Update Legal Decisions That Matter by Karen Kiefer. Um, it's a great, it really is a great article, and it really does point out that, um, there's no precedent here. There's not even a case that was ruled upon to start even quoting. So, and another key is read the whole document and ask questions. Because and talk to somebody like I do with Karen. Like I'm like, oh, this doesn't make sense. It's just good, and stop shaming people. No more shame. Okay, it's not becoming. It's not nice, and we're all better than that. You guys have a good night. It's getting late. I'm getting to bed, but stay focused, Ohio, and come join us on Main Street. Thank you.